I generally think if a game is announced too early, like over 2 years in advance, it's not good because like the hype can die. But the only time I think it's okay is if it's a console exclusive that's coming out like at the end of the generation. Like so in this case it'd be like 2026, 2027. I think even in that case it should be I think in that case it should be announced by like 2023. The reason I think this is so that people that are still picking a console that haven't gotten one yet, like myself, they might want to know in advance like what's coming out on both. If it's I'm talking like if it's a big console exclusive, if it's a big one. Cause you might say like, oh, what are they going to show at E3 2024, 2025, 2026, 2027? If that's the end of the generation, they'll show next gen games, but. Yeah, but the other ones, like, what are they going to show then? I'm just saying, like, the big ones, I personally think should be announced. I'm not saying, I'm talking about announcements. Announcements. Then at those later E3s, they could show, like more gameplay of those announced games. But I'm talking, like, and I think the big announcements should be announced by the middle of the generation for people that need to pick a console that waited. That don't want to get both because they don't want to pay $1,000. So that's how I feel about that. And I'm going to give an example. Okay, let's say I was leaning towards Xbox Series X, but I was like, oh wait, let me see what Final Fantasy IX remake looks like. I'm not really interested in the other Final Fantasy games, but like that one I might be interested in. Because let's say that person likes Final Fantasy IX and not really the other ones as much. They should show that game if like let's say it's coming out like at the very end, like 2027 or something. This is just theoretically speaking. They should announce it by 2023, and you might say like, "Oh, it's too early," but I don't think so because like they might need to see like if the game looks like something they want. And then on the Xbox side, it could be let's flip it. Let's say like, "Oh, I was gonna get a PS5, but I don't know like what Avowed looks like. I don't know about like Project Dragon. I don't know about these Disney Bethesda games that were rumored." Sorry, but yeah, like you might like somebody that like was considering getting a PS5 but they weren't sure and they might want one of those games that hasn't been announced yet. And with Avowed that was announced but they barely showed any. They didn't show like actual gameplay. But like those other two games, I don't think they didn't even, actually the Disney Bethesda games, it's multiple games. I'm not saying they're all going to come out this generation, but it sounds like I don't know how many were going to come out this generation. It was just a rumor. But they should show something. Like if something's coming out this generation, it's going to be big like that. They got to show it by like 2023. And if it's a console exclusive, in those cases it sounds like they would be. As for me, I don't even know what console I'm getting it. I don't even know what platforms Kingdom Hearts 4 is coming out on, but they got to tell us by next year, I would say. I don't know when I'm getting a console. I don't know if I'm getting it next year. I'm just like saying, for generally speaking, they should announce these big console exclusives by the middle of the generation and not wait like to the end, because people will already have consoles by then and be like, oh man, I should have gotten the other one. If they don't want to get both. That's all I'm saying. I know I just said a lot of stuff. Maybe not really. This video is not that long. Okay, but what do you think of this? When do you think games should be announced? Normally, I don't think they should be announced too early, unless, like I said, it's a game coming out, a big console exclusive, coming out later in the generation. If it's not a console exclusive, you don't have to do this. But if it is a console exclusive, I think we should know by the middle of the generation, even if it's like 4 years in advance. And they should show a little gameplay. They should show something of what it looks like, I think. But that's just my opinion. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. No, but seriously, for Kingdom Hearts 4, by next year or something, they got to tell us what consoles it's coming out on. I need to know that. But I'm not like it doesn't have to be right now, but obviously like by next year we're going to have to know something, so